When was the last time you faced a long meandering road that was serenely solitary and yet throbbed with an unmistaken busyness? Then, as you step on it, you realize the echoing energy comes from the forest orchestra that beckons you to explore every intriguing turn on the way. You think that's wishful thinking? We did too. But then we came to Pulau Ubin and realized how we could turn our yearning into a reality. We boarded the bumboat from the Changi Point ferry terminal that took us about 10 to 15 minutes to reach the island. As we journeyed onward, the sun painted the frothy sea foam churned by the speeding bumboat's wake with an orange glow. While on the boat, we were further enthralled by an interesting legend on the formation of the beautiful emerald island of Pulau Ubin. This is how it goes. Once upon a time, a frog, a pig, and an elephant challenged each other to a race from Singapore to Johore across the Straits of Johore. And anyone who failed to do so would be turned into a rock. Now the frog swam, hopped, skipped, jumped, but even then failed to reach the destination. So the poor animal was hence turned into a piece of rocky island called Pulau Sekudu, or the Frog Island. Now the pig and the elephant, both being land animals, they found it even more difficult to navigate the waters of the Johore Strait and failed to complete the challenge as well. As a result, both were turned into two separate islands on either side of the Jelutong River. And these islands came to be known as Pulau Ubin. Over the years, mud banks or bunds built by prawn farmers for harvesting prawns gradually joined these isolated halves to form one single island as it stands today. On alighting at the wooden jetty, to begin our exploration, we hired 3 cycles, as this time our teen titan had consented to join us. You can also take along your own cycles, as the bumboats allow that on board. Check the description box to know the ferry and cycle rent charges. Just remember to keep cash ready, as they do not accept card payments. Pulau Ubin is the last surviving kampung in Singapore that played a significant role in providing shelter to locals from Japanese atrocities during the Second World War. In Malaysian and Indonesian dialect, a kampong or a kampung, as it is also called, refers to a traditional village. Singapore once was home to several kampungs. However, currently only a few like the Pulau Ubin remain. The island was originally known as Pulau Batu Jubin, or Granite Stone Island. It was a site for a 1,020 hectare granite quarry that fueled the construction of critical roads like the Singapore-Johore Causeway. Today, however, it is the happy habitat of a diverse ecosystem including coastal forests, sea lagoons, mangrove swamps, as well as some distinct wildlife. The place is also home to several tropical trees like Nipah palms, malay apples, and many more. We caught a glimpse of some on our way. Before we started, we realized we had a significant challenge before us. The humidity was unbearable. So we had to finish our rounds before the sun rose too high and spiked the mercury several notches higher. So, to make the most of the time we had in hand, we decided to keep ourselves focused and headed towards the Czech Java wetlands. That, as we noted on the board, was only 3 kilometers from the public jetty and lay towards the east of the island. A walking trip will take you around 40 minutes, but on a hot day like this, it might be a bit too ambitious. The wetlands is 100 hectares of natural wonder. It is a conglomeration of 6 major ecosystems, and these include coastal forest, seagrass lagoon, sandy beach, rocky beach, coral rubble, and mangroves. You can visit the website shown below to know more about this unique area with such a rich ecosystem. To savor the real feel, join us as we check it out for ourselves. On the way, we made three pit stops. Actually, we made several, but 3 were the most memorable. The first was at the Puaka Hills. The Puaka Hill involved a hike up a wooded path and overlooked the Ubin quarry at 2 levels. We trekked up the hill in silence, allowing the cloying, earthy smell wrap itself around us. The knobbly tree roots snaked across the ground, doubling up as steps to help us move up in the trail. The deep whistle of the cicadas acted like a soothing balm on the frayed urban nerves we bore with us. And all of a sudden, we sensed ourselves feeling a lot calmer. Drenched with the exertion of heaving ourselves up the hill, we reached the summit and stood panting against the iron rails. Beneath us, the placid waters of the quarry peered up at us with a mischievous shimmer. The blue sky stretched out over us like a canopy. Beyond the lush wilderness surrounding the quarry, the sea, nuzzling the horizon, looked at us from a distance. It was a vista that we would hardly forget. We sat there absorbing the beauty in silence. For once, even the argumentative teenager was left speechless. Heading down, we picked up our cycles from the resting hut parking rack and continued towards our destination. Soon, a 4th member joined our group, a little canine whom we named Mr. Poco. For some reason, he felt a clear affinity towards us and graced us with his company. It was as if he wanted to make sure we remained on track. He raced along, ignoring the other cyclists and the macaques who sat on the trees grinning at him cheekily. He scampered along with gusto on his short legs, his black fur glistening in the sun, his ears pulled back by the wind, and his round eyes shining with excitement. He looked so comical we couldn't help laughing. That hardly deterred him from providing us with his endearing companionship. All this excitement with Mr. Poco left us thirsty, and we stopped at Ama's drink stall, our second memorable pit stop. Now that is another inspiring story. Ong and Kui lived in Kampong Baru in the northern part of Pulau Ubin. In the mid 1950s, she married Chu Lai Huat, a prawn farmer, and moved to the area then known as the Second Prawn Pond. In the late 1980s, the government acquired the prawn pond, and the Chu family had to think of another means of livelihood. In 1995, Madame Ong, along with her husband, set up the drink stall to provide refreshments to the hordes of cyclists and other visitors coming to Pulau Ubin. As most of her customers would affectionately refer to Madame Ong as Ama, her daughter adopted the name for the drink stall and hand-painted the name on the shop signboard. Madame Ong is a symbol of resilience and willpower. After her husband died in 1996, she continued running the show with her daughter and son-in-law. As we thanked her for the refreshing drink, she smiled. We wished her many more years of standing on her own with the same elan. On approaching the Czech Java wetlands, we had to park our cycles in the parking rack at the entry gate. The walk through the wetlands includes 1. A mangrove boardwalk that takes you through dense mangrove swamps. 2. A coastal boardwalk that throws you right onto the ocean with a view of the Malaysian mountains in the distance. And 3. A viewing jetty for creating some amazing reels for Instagram. We started with the mangrove boardwalk. Now, as we turned towards it, we noticed the earth was blushing a brilliant pink as the Malay apple blossoms had smeared its surface with amorous affection. Soon, we came across the Jijawi Tower, which was our third pit stop. It is a 21 meters high watchtower and provides a fantastic view of the ocean. As we climbed the iron ladder steps, we could feel the heat was rising. We were sweating like three little pigs. But once we reached the top landing and looked out on the shimmering ocean that lay sprawled out in front of us, it was worth every drop of sweat we wiped on our sleeves while coming up. The mangrove swamplands took us through a varied range of flora and fauna, some of which we had never seen before. The hexagonal Nipah palm cones that reared their brown heads from within the swamps was one such example. As we turned the corner, we entered the coastal boardwalk. A long meandering walk with rectangular turns, built over the sea with the rocky beaches on one side and the vast ocean on the other side. The sun had caught up with us by then, but we put on our sun caps and braved the heat because we just had to walk the whole length of it. It was absolutely stunning. The sea glimmered through the gaps between the slats in the boardwalk as we walked over there. The balmy air touched our cheeks with their salty kisses. It was fun, it was feverish, and it was fantastic. Pulau Ubin offers you ample opportunities to spend a day in the midst of nature. Walking, cycling, camping, hiking, you can take your pick. We had decided to visit the Czech Java wetlands, but you can just decide not to do anything and simply sit at Ama's drink stall and chat with her. One of the reasons why I prefer slow traveling is that it lets me choose my way to get the best out of life. So, what did you choose today? If you enjoyed our video and would like to join us for more such travel tales, do subscribe to our channel, A Storyteller's Backpack. Click the like icon and send us your comments because your thoughts and feedback are very important to us. Hope to see you on our next journey. Till then, take care and remain hungry for more stories.